Cleveland and the surrounding suburbs were hit hard by the foreclosure crisis. And this is the latest development in the recovery. A recycling center for the remains of blighted homes emptied and abandoned by foreclosure, or homeowners simply walking away unable or unwilling to maintain them. In some areas of Cleveland, a quarter of the homes are now vacant.
There were more families, there were more homeowners. Now it's very distressed. It's not very clean, it's not very safe. And I don't want to live with bars on my window, I don't. And I want people to come over and not go, oh my God, look at that house next door to you. That's not what I want them to see. That's not what I want to see when I walk out my house.
Kim Fields lives in the Woodland Hills neighborhood on the city's predominantly African-American east side. She bought her first home here in 2001, just a few blocks away from the house where she was born. She and her neighbors told us that delegates attending the Republican convention will see the new $50 million downtown renovation, but most likely won't see their neighborhood, just a few miles away.
This house has been vacant since 2014, I believe. And then there's another property there. So 1, 2, 3, 4.
For most of the country, the recession and the housing crisis ended 7 years ago, but home prices here are still falling. Homes are worth, on average, 70 to 80% less than they were 15 years ago. There are 6,000 empty homes on the east side of Cleveland.
Coming home every day and just riding down my street and seeing some of the houses that were so beautiful and just looking at them now. I don't want to live in a dumping ground, but because of the way my street looks, people think that.
You know, I would like to think that the banks would have a moral responsibility, but it doesn't seem that they work on moral responsibility.
Richard Goudreau is with Harvard Community Services Center, a local nonprofit.
The garage window glass is broken, cracked, missing, and or need of repair.
The city has become so overwhelmed by the vacant and blighted homes left behind by banks and the reckless investors who now often own them.
Yeah, it's correct.
Okay.
That it's fallen on groups like Goudreau's and private citizens to help enforce the law.
Now, this wasn't here when we were here last.
No.
Each week he joins activist Anita Gardner on a tour of empty and blighted homes.
Here, Rich, I'm looking through a window up here, and there's a hole in the side of the house.
I know, I got it.
You got that?
I got it.
Okay.
Got an open soffit.
Oh, man.
They inspect the home's exterior for violations and follow up on court-ordered repairs.
See anything else?
Not right now, no.
All right. Yeah, let's move on.
Okay.
This area was in fact targeted for predatory lending. These were all middle-income people here, middle class. They worked at the steel plants, at the parts plants, and they all had really good jobs. Those jobs left, the predatory lending came in. It was just a perfect storm of everything right in this area. And this is what you have left. And then people are just walking away from the properties. Just wholesale walking away.
Most black communities are targets, easy targets, because we don't get together, we don't holler loud enough, we don't scream loud enough. And then when we do, we're violent, or we don't know what we're talking about, or, it was our fault. If somebody was offering you a house and told you that you could have the American dream, we're like everybody else. We want a house.
We are still working to get families back into home ownership, but every house can't be saved.
Cheryl Stevens is in charge of demolitions for the county's land bank. It's a nonprofit entity tasked with acquiring blighted properties and hopefully finding a productive use for them. Often that means tearing the structures down first.
We went from 150 demos in the first year to last year we did approximately 850. And this year we're on track to do 950 to 1,000. The land bank and its partners have eliminated over 6,000 properties in this process. There are multiple reasons why we tear houses down. First of all, the population of Greater Cleveland has been reduced over the last 20 years. The core city had almost 1 million people in it. Now the official count is below 400,000 people. The number of structures we have in this city are in excess of the population numbers.
It can cost $40,000 to $90,000 to rehab a home and make it livable for a family, sometimes as much as the price of building a new one somewhere else, but only about $10,000 to demolish it. Each blighted structure removed also helps bring up the property values of the neighborhood.
In Ohio, we have very modest housing prices, and with low housing values, it's not the same as in New York City or Chicago or San Francisco, where a structure and the plot of land it's on are worth so much more. I mean, the vacant parcels are selling for, we're transferring them to nonprofits for like $100, or if you're an adjacent property owner, for $100 countywide.
At that recycling plant, they're receiving the remains of up to 10 homes a day, destined to be turned into garden mulch or burned for fuel. Scott Hinkle is the operations manager.
We demo houses, bring it in on trucks, dump it on top of the hill, bring it down, a tractor loads it on the picking station, goes across the belt. We have anywhere between 7 and 9 guys up there separating metal, brick, concrete, garbage, and wood. When you're pushing it down the hill, you know, and you see a toy or something that wasn't cleaned out, you think, you know, well, there was somebody living in this at one point. And it makes you think, you know, well, this was once in a neighborhood where somebody lived. Now what's going to happen to the neighborhood? And then you think, well, you know, it's actually coming together. It's actually better that the houses is going, you know, down, because then the crime's going to go down, and, you know, the homeless people are going to not be, you know, squatting there, and the drug addicts. And we need this. We needed it, you know, a long time ago, but.
For Kim and her neighbors, each house torn down is bittersweet. A danger and eyesore to the neighborhood gone, but homes that once held families are gone too. The wealth gap between black and white households reversed its trend and grew in the years following the recession, largely a result of a drop in home values in Cleveland and across the country. The effects of that could last for generations.
Every day, I find a new house. Last summer, there was people living in the house. There were kids playing on the lawn. And now I go by there and the door is open and there's trash on the lawn. There's no curtains. There's broken windows. There's graffiti. What happened? No, it's still happening. And it's not going to stop for a while. And I don't know what's going to make it stop.